So, hello again. You're back with Tony V from Healing Art, or as I always say, art that has the potential to heal you. So, today we're talking about the fifth dimension and how that works. So, we've already discussed the first and the second dimension and how they're unconscious. We've discussed the third and fourth dimension, if you watched the previous videos, and how they're both conscious and unconscious. So, what's this sort of fifth dimensional part of us all about? So, this is firmly in the spiritual realms of ourselves, our humanness. And of course, most people accept that we're made up of mind, body, and spirit. But actually, for most people, certainly as I discovered this, I realised I actually drew a diagram where I sort of put a circle for my sort of mind stuff. I put a circle for my body stuff. And then I put a circle in relation size-wise to my spirit stuff. So what I had was a very big circle for my mind, because basically my mind run my world, my egoic mind that is. And I had a very big body at the time as well, because my egoic mind's very, or our generally human egoic minds are very ill at ease. So they do things, particularly one of the habits they have is that they tend to eat a lot, yeah? So if you have a very big body, as I did, then often that's caused by an unhappy mind. So in other words, our mind and body are sort of out of kilter, out of balance. And then I realised that my spirit world, this really all-important part of me, was actually sort of a very tiny circle, or what I call, it was sort of switched off. It was absolutely switched off and I didn't function. I didn't really know anything about it or understand anything about it. So I set out to even up the balance, because these three things are, no one's better than the other. They are three things, three parts of us that they're all operational, they're all as important as each other, but they're all should interact with each other in a sort of healthy way. And if they're not, this is something that we can set about putting right. Maybe you could use the word healing some of these parts of us so that their operations are more in balance with each other. So when we're talking the fifth dimension, we're absolutely talking about the spiritual part of us, which is to say, most of us accept it's there, but we don't really know what it is or how it operates. Now, I'm not going to tell you all of that, of course, because I have only got a few minutes to describe this. But this really is, it's got two or three elements to it that I could explain and trust that we get some sort of experience from that, just that little bit of understanding, that little bit of knowledge. So the first thing is that love itself, the love we seek, absolutely resides in our fifth dimensional self. So what does that mean? Well, one of my discoveries was that I got to the age of 47 years old and I realised that I didn't really know what the word love meant. It's a very all-important four-letter word in our life, something we deem to experience. Now, what I learned, which is crazy really that I didn't know this before I was 47 years old, is that I was searching for love outside of myself. In other words, I was trying to get people to love me. Now, this is a very egoic, or what I call three-dimensional shut-down way of experiencing love. Because, and the reason it gives us so much pain, they say that our relationship or our love life will bring us the most joy in our life, but it'll also bring us the most pain in our life. And that was very true for me in my first 47 years of life, before I sort of delved in and started to understand a little bit a deeper level what love really is. Now, all of the avatars that have ever walked the planet, from Buddha, Krishna, Jesus, and Muhammad, all of these people obviously spoke and shared about love, but basically they all sort of taught us that the love we seek is actually inside of ourselves. So to have the experience of love inside of ourselves, we have to have this sort of spirit switch switched on, because if it's switched off, we're going to persistently look for it outside of ourselves. And of course, the challenge is that it can be, you might experience it for short bursts, but it can be taken away from us. Yeah. So if we're relying on somebody else loving us and they stop, this causes us much emotional pain, primarily emotional pain. And so for me, just learning that, this simple message that sort of seems to have been deleted from, the scriptures of old, is that really we need to seek the love inside of ourselves. This spirit part that resides in our body that we don't really necessarily understand is where that element lives, and it lives at this very high octave. So remember, each of these different dimensions has a different octave of energy or vibration about it. So if we're not connected to that vibrational part of ourselves, then we're left in our three-dimensional egoic self searching for love. So that's sort of one very, very important element of the fifth dimension. Now, to give you a quick demonstration of our the power of this part of us, this part, by the way, is known as the superconscious part of us. So we've got three types of consciousness. We've got our unconscious, our conscious, and our superconscious self. And the fifth dimension is very much our superconscious self. So the very important thing that lives in the fifth dimension that we can connect with easily, so that we get a sense of it. If, like me in your old world, you've actually got your spiritual switch switched off, then we don't really know how to connect with that part of us. So the one thing that's really fascinating is that in the fifth dimensional part of us lives this thing known as our imagination. So our imagination resides in our superconscious self in the fifth dimensional part of us, and we can sort of test it really quickly. So I often say to people, look, if you want to just experience your imagination, this part of us that's definitely fifth dimensional, all we have to do is to just close our eyes quickly. So if we just closed our eyes for a second, and I said to you, just imagine a tree right now. Just see a tree. Just see it in your mind's eye. And see the area around the tree, see the trunk, see the branches and whatever leaves are on this tree. Just see that tree. When I do this, I can open your eyes again. When I do this with big audiences, then almost no one doesn't see a tree. Yeah. So this part of us is very powerful. Yeah. So in other words, when we think of manifestation, when people go, how do I manifest? Or if I say to people, who here is good at manifesting? Around 10 or 20% of the people will put their hands up. But actually, the truth is we're all manifesting 24/7. And we do this manifesting partly with our thinking. Yeah? It's our thinking, the images that we consistently make, and the words and the energy that we give off. We then replicate that and bring that back into our world. So if we can use our fifth dimensional imagination to open up that spiritual part of us, turn that spiritual switch on, then basically we can utilize this untapped part of us to start to heal ourselves. Yeah. So that sounds all crazy, but look, we can use our healing art to access that part of us, so that we can then start to operate with mind, body and spirit a little bit more in balance. And as we do that, we automatically start to have a new experience in life. So in effect, we are healing ourselves. So that's it for the fifth dimension. I'm going to be back, and in the next video I'm going to just explain a little bit more, and I've touched on it already, a little bit more about our egoic self and how that works. So I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.